All right, guys, I want to talk a little bit about Twisted Metal because I watched the whole thing yesterday. I haven't binged a show in a very, 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 very long time, but this is about the strongest of Brett recommends as I can give you. The episodes are only 30 minutes long. That is the number one thing that this show has going for it. It's a Peacock show. What I would classify it as is a better version of what James Gunn tries to do with his ensemble cast, meaning that it takes all of the emotional resonance that James Gunn builds up and works it together with the immature humor that he likes to use, and they use them to kind of juxtapose one another. You take immature, what did the article say, Reddit humor?
Well, of course, what I looked up when Brett started praising Twisted Metal is a negative review for it.
Yeah.
That says, because it lacks the iconic characters of Super Mario Bros. Movie and the storyline of The Last of Us, which in my opinion was it had to fill that void with obnoxious jokes and mean personalities and relies on Reddit-esque made-up swear words like dick punch and mostly the protagonist saying oh shit over and over in order to tell you that what's happening on screen is supposed to be awesome.
Okay. So in
that just made it seem awful.
In this show,
to me.
First of all, this show has two main characters, just like The Last of Us. Both of them prove to be infinitely more likable and more watchable as the show goes on. So Anthony Mackie's character, his name's literally John Doe. His goal in this show is to deliver a package, basically a MacGuffin from point A to point B, because it offers him a chance at a better life. The person who offers him the job offers him a chance of a better life. And the other character of Quiet, which is portrayed by Stephanie Beatriz, her character, she's out to get revenge. Something tragic happens to her that you see early on. And what you see in the show is essentially two characters growing and bonding together over 10 episodes in which they develop very, very real feelings for one another. And it does contrast perfectly and beautifully with the absurdist violence and swearing and Reddit-esque humor that's going on around them. They participate in that humor. They are absolutely a part of it. But when, and really it is the Stephanie Beatriz, her character of Quiet, that ends up stealing the show because she brings an unbelievable amount of emotional resonance to her character, which actually ends up carrying the show in a way that I think Anthony Mackie, as good as he did, doesn't actually quite, his journey, as valid and as real as his goal is, as what he wants, as his desires are, you feel for her character's growth more because of what a good job this actress does of portraying what she's experiencing and the experiences between the two as they go through. They start off very, very cold and distant. They don't trust each other. They slowly work together and become like a valid, real kind of couple. And then they have a falling out and then get back together. And it all works beautifully. Basically, he's chasing the white picket fence. She's chasing revenge, and they go on this journey together. And it really, really, really works. And I posted like a tweet yesterday. I kid you not, on Instagram, I posted, it's like literally them cuddling in a ball pit. I says, if this gets more emotional resonance I did that on Instagram. I'm getting more emotional resonance from a couple cuddling in a ball pit and an abandoned kids amusement park than I've gotten from anything in The Last of Us or anything that I've seen in a very, very long time.
Well, in that case, why is it not going to get as much viewership as The Last of Us did? It's because the IP is less valuable.
I mean, the IP's been around for longer than
it's been around for longer, but it's not as
less
valuable.
Yes, exactly, right? So
it translates less clearly than the storyline of The Last of Us as well, because The Last of Us is already basically a movie.
If you want an example of why the humor works or how the tone works in the show, there's like a 4 or 5 minute scene in which his character and her character are tortured by being forced to listen to the song Barbie Girl at extreme volumes as they waterboard them and make them fill out DMV paperwork. It's incredible. Like, it's like the tone of it makes no sense, right? But it's just like James Gunn does. And it's funny because they actually use music as a through line in this too. It's a lot to do with the character. He likes various types of music, right? Because he's listening to him in this car that he's developed a very deep emotional connection with. This show also does a better job of implementing flashbacks to tell their characters' backstories than The Last of Us did. So they use their time more wisely because the episodes are shorter, far more concise, while getting way more emotional mileage out of what you're looking to do for something like this. And the guy who plays Sweet Tooth is Samoa Joe, the pro wrestler, and it's fantastic. Like, as the violence that his character perpetrates on other people is amazingly well done. All of the car scenes are very CGI heavy, but very, very fun to watch. And the set design on the show is what sells it probably more than anything. Whether we're talking about Sweet Tooth's lair, whether we're talking about the designs of the cars or the convoy trucks, inside, like the workings of the inside of these convoy trucks, the people who did the set design on this show understood that visually it had to be as ridiculous and over the top looking as the story actually tries to
Someone asked what it has to do with the game's premise.
Almost nothing.
Yeah, almost nothing because it doesn't translate exactly one to one.
Exactly. Like I only played the first game, so there is absolutely the very last episode does end up implementing the premise quite a bit. But
That's
if
why
I had
it makes me wonder, like, why even bother adapting something from an IP?
Because there's lots of Easter eggs. There's lots of Easter eggs and calls back to the game in it.
Well, if I watched it, I wouldn't pick up on any of them.
So beyond that, like the show it's just really, really good. And I recommend everyone go check it out. I haven't been that excited about a show in a long time. And within the first episode, usually you can tell right away, especially for something that short, whether it's going to be something you want to watch or not. The character of Quiet ends up stealing the show. And I didn't like her at first. I really didn't like her character at first because she did have the sarcastic, annoying humor that tends to be very grating. But here's the difference. Yes, she embodies the sarcastic, annoying humor that Hollywood loves to give people. But she's also deeply flawed and allows herself to be unbelievably, deeply vulnerable with the main character. So you're allowed in, therefore she feels more like a full-fledged, actually well-written character, right? And somebody's put it really, really well in the tweet, like, because I was tweeting about it last night. They said it's dystopian. You know, it's post-apocalyptic, like everything we see these days, but it's not trying to be literature. It's not trying to be highbrow. It's not trying to be something that it's not. It leans into the best aspects of what works for it. Like I said, very much in the vein of James Gunn. Absurdist, over-the-top humor with strong, deep emotional connection at its core. I don't know what more you want from something if that's what you actually like out of movies. If you enjoyed James Gunn's Suicide Squad, or you enjoyed his work with The Guardians, especially the first one, the music, the tone, the fact that these two characters, first of all, here's the other thing. They allow these characters to get together, right? It's not a show where they're just a guy and a girl have to just go on their journey and be dour and depressed all the time and not connect. Mm-hmm. They connect very deeply through both of their shared trauma, as people say. And they explore that in depth throughout it. So you're peppered with violence and gore and really, really over-the-top characters. But then you get these small, quiet moments together that they then penetrate with more of their own over-the-top personalities, almost as a way to guard themselves from connecting emotionally with the other person. And I would say that if anything, maybe Anthony Mackie, as good as he was, I think a decade ago, I think they would have given that job to Will Smith. I really, really do. 2 decades ago, it would have been done in a more serious tone, and they would have given it to Wesley Snipes, probably. And he does a fine job. But I think the character of Quiet is the standout here. And Nev Campbell has a 2-episode arc at the beginning and the end. Seeing evil Nev Campbell is just weird. It's just weird. But I strongly recommend it. I would enjoy everyone going to watch it. It's on Peacock. Then, either send me a message on Twitter or let me know back on here and let me know what you think about it. Because, like I said, if you like something like, if you're looking for an even more absurd and a humorous version of Mad Max meets The Last of Us meets The Fast and the Furious, it's very, very good. So everyone should go and check it out. I highly encourage you to do so. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.